and welcome to Jennifer Knatters. I am Jennifer and this is my knitting and nattering podcast. I sometimes do other crafts, but this week I think it's all just knitting. Hi, it's been about 3 weeks since I last recorded a podcast. I've been trying to do them about every other week since that seems to work out well for having enough to talk about, but not too much to talk about. My cat Libby has heard me talking and has come to say hello. Yes, hello. But I was not able to podcast last week. I just didn't really have a chance. And this week my kids are on half term. And cat tail. So I've snuck out here. I may be interrupted. I may not be able to do this at all and just wind up deleting it and tra-la-laing on my own merry way. But we will give it a shot. For those of you who are new, my name is Jennifer. I am an American living in Scotland. I live in northern Scotland. And this is my podcast. I live here with my husband, 2 children, and 2 cats. And this one, the gray one, is named Libby. And when she heard me talking, she came running so that I could scratch right by her tail. That's what she wants. You gonna come up and say hello? Do 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 do. She's holding on to the blanket. Let go of the blanket. Come say hello. Hello. Hopefully the camera looks, now she sees the birds. Hopefully the camera image looks a little clearer. I got a new iPad for Mother's Day, and it only showed up this last week, so this is my first time using it. The UK Mothering Sunday is 2 weeks before Easter. In the US, it's the second Sunday in May. So in both countries, everyone says, when's Mother's Day? And you have to check a calendar to find out. We got a new bird feeder a couple months ago, 2 months ago, and it's just out that window. And so Libby is very excited. Don't knock my notes off. She's now nuzzling the notebook in which I write what I'm going to talk about. So we are off to a great start with my little cat's mustache. Ooh. As you can tell, I'm a little loopy. Here in Scotland, we've been in lockdown. We were in tier 4 lockdown before Christmas, and then the whole country was in full lockdown, and we have only just this week eased to the point where you don't have to stay at home. You can go out within your local area. My local area is the entirety of the Highlands, basically. The Highland Council area is enormous, but we don't drive, so we can't go anywhere anyway. But other people get to now drive to the mountains or the beaches or forests or whatever it is they want to do. Meet up with someone in another town and have, I was going to say a picnic in the park, but it's really just a talk in the park, isn't it? Business is non-essential, blah, blah, blah. You either know or it doesn't really matter. But anyway, I am a bit loopy because we have been in lockdown for a long time. And this feels like human interaction. Watching podcasts, podcasting feels like interacting with other people in a way I don't get a lot of, and having not done it in 3 weeks, and since my children don't go to school, so I don't even say hello to the neighbors as I walk by, nod to the fellow parents at drop off and stuff. I'm a little low on human interaction right now. So yeah, a little bit loopy, a little bit preoccupied with my precious little kitty. This one's Libby. She's very pretty. She's a princess. She rules the house. I actually have a finished object for you. Last time I think maybe I just started the second sock. I have worn these because These are my 6-ply Regia Pairfect in one of their rainbow colors. This one obviously is a blue and purple rainbow. Regia Pairfect, I have worn them because it has been snowing off and on most of this week. Starting on Monday, today is Saturday, and it has already snowed a little bit this morning. It has been alternating beautiful clear sunshine, thank you, and snow and hail. It has been really cold. The bird's water dish keeps freezing over. It's, yeah, been a bit bizarre. So I actually needed my 6-ply socks, and this is just a recipe off the top of my head. I did an angled anatomical toe. They've already felted a little bit, which is fine because I consider felting to mean that the fabrics are all and becoming stronger and sturdier and warmer. I think I went to 60 stitches from my toe cast on. I increased to 60 stitches, did a short row heel, a garter stitch short row heel, and then going up the leg, each color, I increased 1 stitch in the back until at some point I started increasing 2 stitches. Because at first I thought I might be able to do a pair of knee highs, and then I realized they weren't going to work. So I knit the first one until I was exactly halfway through the colors. The Regia Pairfect starts with yellow between each of the color repeats, and then it does 3 repeats of the colorway, and then there's a yellow section. So you can line up your colors and get a perfectly matching pair of socks. So I knit all the way through 3 repeats of the colorway and tried them on, and they didn't really fit very well. So for the second sock, I just knit to this point. I kind of took the first sock and folded it over and rolled it down my leg until it seemed like it fit comfortably. And then I knit the second sock to be, I did two colors in the ribbing, and so yeah, I knit that one that way, and then I tried it on and it was really comfortable, so I ripped the other pair back to that same point. And I still, even with all that extra knitting, especially because I originally started them top down, was like, you know, to there, and then I ripped it out to start it toe up so I could use all the yarn. Even with all that extra knitting, I still finished them in March. These are my March stripy socks for the SCR1TNO, Sharon at the SCR1TNO Knitting Podcast. Libby's gone to sit on the other chair. Regia was a double entry for the stripy sock knit along for the month. Each month has a certain number of, there's 1 commercial dyer and then a small handful of independent dyers, and Regia was the commercial dyer for the month. So I knit my socks and I got them done in time to post them before Ravelry, because the knit along is both on Ravelry and on Instagram, and Sharon has started playing with a Mighty network. That came out weird. She started playing with another forum, but to my knowledge it has not been like publicly opened yet. But I got them in to Ravelry before Ravelry did away with the classic view, because it turns out I really don't enjoy looking at the new look. Like I don't get headaches or anything, but it just, I don't know how much is psychosomatic and how much is genuine eye strain, but it does feel like there's eye strain. And I tried the dark mode, which is supposed to maybe be better, but I've heard it's not great for astigmatism. I have astigmatism in both eyes. That's why I wear glasses and not contacts. Glasses correct for it. Contacts do not. Everything is still just that little bit fuzzy. And with the dark mode, it looked like the text was floating maybe an inch in front of the background. Like it created this weird 3D effect that I thought it would just be really blurry. Like, you know, the letters would just be fuzzy and I wouldn't be able to read them comfortably. But it actually looked like they were floating in front of the background. And then I had someone else say that they get the same effect looking at it. So I can use it. I don't want to use it. It's not a pleasant experience emotionally or physically. But I got the socks entered for that, and I guess I'll just be on Instagram for my entries going forward. So yeah, I got those, and then I started my next pair of socks, and I have what is charmingly referred to as a hoe, a half-finished object, which largely only applies to socks, huh? This is a pair of head over heels because I thought that was King Cole yarn, and King Cole is the commercial dyer for this month. It is not King Cole, it is Stylecraft. So I knit this in like 3 days. One Stylecraft head over heels sock with some yarn I had in my stash. I had originally knit a side-to-side cardigan for Catherine. That was so cute. It was so cute. It was adorable. I loved it so much. My husband took her for a walk with it in the bottom of the pram, and when he came home, it was not in the bottom of the pram anymore. And by the time I realized what had happened, because I was at work that day, we never saw it again. Still sad about that. Really cute stripy jumper, but it took 10 meters of a second ball. It did not take very much of the second ball. Libby is back, by the way. So I had most of a skein of the Stylecraft in my stash. I don't think Stylecraft is any of the months for the double points, but I have that one. And then most of that was done before April 1st, because April 1st, the second Confident Knitting came out. And I've already started the cuff for the second one. I have not worked on it very much. But yeah, a half-finished object. And since we are talking about new cast-ons and the fact that I've not worked on this because on April 1st, the next pattern for Confident Knitter came out. Sorry, there's a crinkly thing over there and I just put it on it. Excuse me, a wee hiccup. The second pattern in the Confident Knitting, currently it's an ebook, but the physical book will come out, I believe, in August. Confident Knitting from Arnall-Culliford Knitwear is the third year of Knitting Techniques, which is a program. It's the book and the patterns you can pay for, and then those include photo tutorials of a technique a month, and then there are supplementary video tutorials which are available on YouTube for free for anyone. And you can participate in the knit-alongs either by buying the book and knitting the patterns as it goes, or by picking any pattern you want that uses that technique, and then participating. And I really like their knit-alongs because participation is what counts. You do not have to have a finished object at the end. You just have to, give it a go. And this month's technique is, I can't remember, it's like beautiful blocking, extreme blocking. It is blocking unusual shapes, things that you can't just lay flat and pin out. So it is a cowl, and this is the Evolve Cowl by Hunter Hammersen. And it comes in three circumferences and then 2 lengths, but you can stop after any point when you come to here. So I am starting the third of what I'm thinking of as the repeats, even though it's one way and then the other way. And the yarn is Dusty Dimples, and it was labeled as Dusty Dimples worsted, which I think must refer to it being a worsted spun because it is a DK yarn. It is 115 grams, 220 meters, which is a commonly available DK weight. I know Fiber Spate's Scrumptious DK matches that. Helen of Ripples Crafts used to do a merino, which was probably the base from Fiber Spates, because I believe Fiber Spats. I don't know. I would not be surprised to learn that they sold their bases and that was the base she had been using and that Dusty Dimples used for this. And this is the colorway Amour, which was the alternate colorway for the kit. The kits, there's a kit for 3 months that you could get from the Arnall-Cullifords. And I believe the next one, the one for the summer, goes on sale. They said the May 1st when they launched the next month. And I got the alternate colorway for the 3-month kit, which was the winter color. They've done a spring, a summer, an autumn, and a winter colorway. And if you signed up for the whole year of kits, then you could pick which season you wanted. And if you do the months, then there'll be whatever that season is. So the spring kit, or in this case, it was the winter kit. So the next one will be summer and one of the other 3 colors. So yeah, I got the winter kit and it's got this really pretty pinky colorway, which is called Amour, which I believe Dusty Dimples dyes this kind of colorway on other bases. Other bases may look slightly different. It's coming out a little coraler than it is. It is a tiny bit coral. It's somewhere between like a coral and a magenta, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm knitting right along. As you can see, I've got 2 yarns coming out because I am alternating skeins. The kit came with a 115 gram, which is the full size skein, and then a 50 gram supplement skein. So yeah, it should be much bigger when blocked. And then the blocking technique is how to block round things, because if you just lay it flat and block it, then you'll get creases on either side. So it's how to block round things to not get creases. And yeah, I'm making good progress on that. I have not gotten to the technique yet because it's blocking. The last month was a folded hem. So that was the first thing you did, was you cast on the hem and folded it, and that was the technique. And this one I will need to finish my item before I can do the technique. But it's lots of fun and it's really pretty, and it'll be a nice kind of spring. Just keep your neck and shoulders warm. I don't tend to wear a lot of shawls because they fall off and get all disarrayed, and especially I've been chasing small children around for the last so many years, and then you bend over and pick them up and they're fussing with your clothes, and shawls don't really work for that, but cowls stay on pretty nicely. So I am a big fan of a nice drapey round cowl. It is snowing. It is possibly hailing. I don't know if you can hear that on the roof, but it is snowing a little bit. Just checking my notes. Oh, the drum. I mentioned last time, it was not about this jumper, but I mentioned last time that I am not naming patterns and designers if their patterns are not available off Ravelry. It's been, what, 9 months? Like, people have had a chance to get things off Ravelry, even if it's just like new releases are being posted off Ravelry. I don't know if you can see the snow in the background. It's hail, that's what it is. That's why it's sounding loud. Yesterday, my husband went outside after it hailed, and he said it looked like we were living in a snow globe because the ground looked like it was covered in all these polystyrene little balls of hail. Polystyrene looking balls of hail just everywhere. It looked like the inside of a snow globe. Specifically, we have a Christmas snow globe where it's not full of water. It's just, it has a thing that blows the snow and then it falls down and it's loud and it plays Christmas music, and my 4-year-old still has it in her room and still turns it on at least a couple times a week while she's playing in there. It looked exactly like that. So it is hailing again. I'm sorry if the noise is a little distracting, but I only have until my children realize I'm hiding from them before they come and find me. They have completed their chores for the morning and have been given some internet time until lunch. So they're playing Roblox together. Anyway, I'm not identifying patterns and designers unless they are available off Ravelry. And my litmus test for available off Ravelry is when I Google them, can I find the pattern? I am not doing, like, I'm not going through Etsy or Lovecrafts or any of the other, you know, searching Payhip, whatever. If I Google them, can I find the patterns? So when I'm writing up the show notes, if I can't find it, then I don't include it. If I know it's something I've looked for last time and I couldn't find it, then I won't even mention them. This one is kind of a gray area for me because this is the Joan sweater by Christelle Nihu. I think that's how to pronounce her name. She's a Netherlandian. She's in the Netherlands, and she's a plus-size designer. This is her first plus-size exclusive design. It is knit in Drop Sky. Yeah, Drop Sky alpaca, which is what I'm using, which is an affordable yarn when you have to buy lots of it to go around a big gal, a big person. So it's an affordable yarn. The pattern is only graded for plus sizes. She hasn't released any more, so I don't know that it was an entirely successful experiment on her part, but I want to support that. I want to support plus size designers, designing in plus sizes. I know a lot of people are getting better at being inclusive of the larger sizes, but it's still not great. If you Google her, you will find she has a website. If you go to the website and you click, there's a menu bar at the top, and it says patterns. If you click on patterns, it opens Ravelry. It doesn't even open like a page that shows her patterns and then you can link to Ravelry. It's just a straight link to Ravelry. That said, I'm on her mailing list, and she has mentioned that her patterns are available on, I believe it was Lovecraft. So if you Google her, you won't find them easily, but they are there. So I'm believing her for now. I haven't checked yet that they are available off of Ravelry. She's also mentioned that as an independent designer, she has not been able to do the shows or anything that she would normally do, and she's not eligible for the payouts that the Netherlands government is giving to people because of the way she's self-employed. So she is really struggling financially, and I am a sucker. Not in the sense that I think she's pulling one over. Begging on the internet is not something I think anyone wants to do as their first choice, but I'm a sucker because I feel bad for people who are struggling financially, especially people I want to support because they are designing in sizes that fit me, and I think that is important for people who aren't me, but it is also a cause that is near and dear to my heart, especially because this one, I'm one of the smaller sizes. It goes up, and I know that the larger you get, the smaller the pool of options gets. So this one I'm labeling as a gray area. The world is gray areas, and you kind of just have to every day decide where your lines are. If circumstances have changed them, and to go with it. Anyway, I bought this last year this time. It came out it came out before lockdown. So must have been like what, February, early March last year. And I bought the pattern and I ordered the yarn and I only got around to casting it on like autumn time. And then I set it aside to work on the jumper I was knitting for my friend for Christmas, which I gave to her 3 weeks ago. It was right around the time I recorded the last podcast, so that would be 3 weeks ago. I know it still looks really bright back here, but it is getting really dark on the sides, which is possibly improving my light. So yeah, I set it aside for a while. This yarn, one of the test knitters knit it in the black, and I thought, oh, black, I could really use like a black pullover. I don't have one. Like that seems really great. It is not really great. It is like a chainette ply. Let's see if I can get this to boop, boop, boop. Yeah, you can see that. It's a chainette ply, so my needles keep snagging in the little loops that make up the yarn. The yarn does not dye evenly, so it kind of looks gray rather than black. And can you see the stitches? You can't. I mean, you can tell there are stitches there, but this is where the shoulder shaping is. There are directional increases all through here. Which really means I didn't have to worry about doing directional increases. But it starts with, you cast on like a garter tab for a shawl. It starts with a garter tab cast on, and then you knit this back strip, and then you pick up the stitches, and you work back and forth until you get to, you do some shoulder shaping, and then you do back and forth until you've completed the lace chart in the front. And you're doing more shoulder shaping, and you join in the round. And I've just gotten to the point where I've put the sleeves on hold and I've put them on neon yarn so that when I go to pick up the stitches, I can actually find them and they stick out really clearly. But I was so proud of myself because when I went to pick it up again, I've got all my little, like I've circled my stitch counts and I've crossed off the instructions that aren't for me. And very importantly, here at the side, I did a stitch count for all of my repeats and I had been crossing them off as I went. So when I picked it up again after all this time, just checking to see what page I'm on, I think it's this page. When I picked it up again after months of not touching it, in black yarn where I was not going to be able to read the knitting, I was able to count my stitches in the section and say, ah yes, I'm on this row, and go from there. Yeah. So I was able to pick it up and start knitting again in about 5 minutes, which was amazing. Thank you, past me, high five, yes. And it doesn't help that I'm knitting it on my black carbons, Knit Picks carbons, Knit Pro carbons. They're one name in one country and one name in Europe, one name in the US and one name in Europe. So, but yeah, I was able to pick it up and keep working on it. And I had been where my cat stitch marker is. It is now holding the little stitch markers that said where to do the increases for the shoulder. Look at that cute little beaded. That is Jen's Crafty Creations on Etsy. She does really cute little beaded stitch markers if that is your sort of thing. And Jen's Crafty Charms, Jen's Charms. No, I can't remember. So yeah, very happy to have picked that up and be working on it again because I want to knit all the jumpers, but I need to finish the jumper I have going. I tend to be I knit a lot of different projects at the same time, but I try to be monogamous to a type of project. So I only have one adult jumper on the needles at a time. I only have one child's jumper on the needles at the time. I only have one, it's getting cold in here. I try to only have one pair of socks on the needles at the time. Although sometimes if I have a fancy pair of socks, I will then have a vanilla pair of socks. One small accessory, like that kind of thing. Sorry, Libby. Sorry, baby. It's okay. So I'm just looking to see if I put, do you know where I might have put? Sorry, I'm making noise. I just got some more of those little stitch markers. Okay, there was a business card, but I clearly did not put it in here. I just ordered some more. So it is Jen's Crafty Charms. I don't know if that's focused, but that is what it says. And I got a set which has these two little sheepies. Scooch over, little sheepy. So one is facing right towards you and one is in the side view. And I figure I could use those as earrings when I go to knit festivals, or of course use them as stitch markers. And then this one is a little dragon. So cute. I love them so much. Yeah, because obviously putting a black kitty on a black cat stitch marker on my black project, which is living in a black denim project bag on black needles on black cables, is a whole slew of things that were not my best ideas ever. On to acquisitions, and I got the next set in the Marvelous Monthly Minis from Giddy Yarns, and it came out at the end of last month. We're almost 2 weeks into this month. Hoping everyone's had it. If you do watch my podcast and you have not seen it, then just glance away really quickly. So these are this month's colors. I'm getting the DK 20 gram colorway. And that will add on to the blankets. And this one I'm not mentioning the project or the designer because, again, the website goes straight to Ravelry and I do not have an emotional connection to that designer. That would make me want to overrule my feelings on this one. So this is working out really well. You can tell I'm a professional. Here we go. So we're moving up from the January colors to the February colors and then the March colors. The next 3 months of this club are on the website. You can do what I did, which was sign up as a 3 months all-in-one payment, or you can sign up month by month, in which case the April color is available to order, and there is a picture on the website from the oranges. I think it goes back to pinks and then purples and then greens, blue greens for June. We will see. But they're really working really well together. This color at the top is kind of pale with the speckles, but it's got a little bit of like the orange yellow that we're getting this week. And it's got the pinks and the blues and the teals. And I'm just making a corner to corner garter stitch blanket, which I talked about when I've actually worked on it. But yeah, I'm doing a corner to corner garter stitch blanket, so the sections are getting thinner as the blanket gets wider. Lots of fun to work on. I have mismatched needles, which is fine because I only do the yarn overs. Every so often there's a section of yarn overs. I only do the yarn overs if I am knitting with the carbon needle, not if I'm knitting with the bamboo needle. Things like that can help me keep track of what I'm doing when working on what should otherwise be a fairly relaxing, not looking at it kind of knit. So that catches us up. I did have one other project I was working on when we weren't, like, between when I finished the jumper for my friend and when the Confident Knitting pattern came out, which I didn't do very much, so I will save it for next time when you can see it a little more clearly. Family stuff. I forgot to mention Mother's Day at all last time. My children had each made a card at school, which they were cute. I can't tell if it's raining or hailing or snowing. It sounds like it's raining. It looks like it is hailing. No, it's hailing. Okay. They're still bouncing off the ground out there. My children each made me a card, which was very sweet, and my husband ordered an iPad for me with the knowledge that it wasn't going to come until the end of the month anyway. So it just showed up this past week, and I've been setting it up and getting it used to all the things I'm doing. So hopefully the image is a little clearer, sounds a little better. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Haven't seen what the output looks like on this one. I didn't do a test run or anything because it doesn't really matter. This is my pad now. My old pad has already been given over to being the pad that the 4-year-old can use, and I got her a big rubber, looks like a butterfly case, so that if you drop it, it doesn't shatter in a million pieces. And I ordered a case for this one, and so yeah, because the pad that she had was like an iPad mini 2, and a lot of the things she wanted to do just weren't compatible. This one's an iPad 8, which, if you know anything about pads, I kind of largely don't. It is not the latest and the greatest. And I was upgrading from an iPad 4. So I was a couple generations, an iPad mini 4, I was a couple generations behind. Yeah, we did that. We went to our friends for an Easter egg hunt. It wasn't an Easter, it was equinox hunt, which is when I gave my friend her jumper. We were allowed to meet up with one other family outside at the time. I think we're still in the one other family, but it could be more people now. Small children don't count, so we weren't going to run afoul of the limit anyway. Since we've been on half term, my children have spent most every day playing with our across the street neighbors' kids, who are the same ages. They are in the same grades together, the same years, they say here in the UK. And they have largely just been playing like wild animal, feral children, outdoor children, in the garden. We got the fence open to the woods so they can go up in the woods a little bit. The woods behind our house, those are trees. If you could see them, if it wasn't hailing, there are trees out there, and soon they will have leaves and it'll look really, really pretty. They've been riding bikes. We live on a little cul-de-sac. They've been riding bikes in the cul-de-sac in front of our house. And running back and forth between our gardens, and then our other neighbor, they have slightly older children. The kids sometimes go over there and play with them. They actually did an Easter egg for the little kids yesterday, an Easter egg hunt, where they each got to find one egg. It was still lots of fun. They were very happy. So yeah, lots of, I really could not be happier living in a quiet little cul-de-sac with other children the same age, and my kids just turn them outside. Anytime they get annoying, I'm like, oh, coats, boots, go outside, go see if your friends can play. Run around outside for a couple of hours. And the other nice thing is if they're running around outside for a couple hours, then when they do come in and they ask for their pad, I'm like, okay, you can have some screen time. That's fine. Like, you got running around time, you can have a little screen time. Like, it limits back, I think it was more like October half term, we had the problem where my oldest one, my 8-year-old, just wanted to be on her pad all day, and if given the opportunity would wake up, get her pad, and be watching her pad straight through to bedtime, which wasn't great for her, and wasn't great for the 4-year-old either, who wanted to play with her, and wasn't great for me having to broker the peace between the 8-year-old who wanted to be left alone, she wasn't 8 at the time, and the 4-year-old who wasn't 4 at the time, who wanted to it was not great. So we put a lot of firmer limits on internet time, and if they're playing outside most of the day anyway, I don't even have to worry about those firmer limits. So yeah, that is, fingers crossed I haven't just jinxed it for next week. That's working out really well. Next week the weather should be better. It shouldn't be hailing. Oh, the sun's coming out again. None of the little hail balls stuck. We don't have the polystyrene effect that we did yesterday. I have notes. I can see what's in my notes. It was very sad when I picked my 8-year-old up from school on the Thursday. They had Good Friday off. I picked her up on Thursday, her last day of school, and she was really upset. And she was really worried that we were going to go into lockdown again and she would just never see her teachers again, which is what happened last year. We pulled them out slightly before Easter, but like basically they had Easter break and the schools never went back, and she hasn't seen her teachers, last year's teachers. There's 2 teachers who alternate days. She hasn't seen them since, because even when they're on school, they're all in classroom bubbles. So I believe the teachers are still employed at the school, still teaching. They're just not teaching her. And so she hasn't seen them. And I'm like, oh, baby. And also, when we picked her up for Christmas break, they just didn't go back. And I was like, do you remember when I picked you up for Christmas, we said, we're probably not going back to school at the end. Actually, I think even by the time we picked them up, here in Scotland, where we have a reasonable First Minister who communicates clearly on the projected information that we get from science, we knew that we weren't going back to school after Christmas holiday. Initially, it was, like at least until the end of January, and then it was later, like it kept getting pushed back, but we knew we weren't going back to school right away. Whereas in England, they went back after Christmas for the first day, and then when they got picked up, like after they'd gone home that night, they were like, no, the schools are closed, you're not going tomorrow, which I hear is what they just did in Ontario. I follow a lot of online knitters in Ontario and a few random other people, and Ontario is really handling this badly. I feel really badly for Ontario and England. At least England's vaccinating. Entirely different diatribe for an entirely different day. But yeah, we knew when I picked her up from school for Christmas break, we knew that they weren't going back for a while afterwards. So I was like, all the evidence right now, and it can change, but all of the evidence right now suggests that the number of cases are going down, that the vaccination is working, that we've been in lockdown. Like, we were still in lockdown. They were going to school, but everything else was closed. The only thing was the younger children were going to school. Even the older kids, the high school kids, I think they're going 90 minutes a week, and that was only for the second week. The first week was just a 5-minute, here's how we'll be handling it, and then 1 week of here's your 90 minutes, and then Easter break. But it was only the kids going back to school. We were still in lockdown. The cases were going down. We have every reason to think you'll be going back to school afterwards. So I think that helped her. But sometimes you look at your kids and you're like, this really is very tough on you, isn't it? But yeah. So I was able to calm her down. And I think she's doing all right. And hopefully we do go back to school and everything will be fine. My husband has had his first jabs, which is really nice. He got his jab last Tuesday while the kids were still in school. So I guess a week ago Tuesday. And then for like 5 days afterwards, he was just wandering around the house singing to himself constantly, or singing to the cats, or like just making up little songs about everything he was doing. So apparently ebullience might be a side effect of being vaccinated. Suddenly not having as much of a concern on your shoulders can feel a bit like euphoria. I do not anticipate that I will be vaccinated before my birthday, end of May. I would like to be vaccinated for my birthday end of May. Like that seems like it would be a really nice birthday present, though obviously I'd be very happy to get it a little early. I am not set on the date. But yeah, that's when I turn 40, and it should also be right around the time they switch from vaccinating 40 and overs to under 40s. So either way, that's at least ballpark when I should get my first jab. So yeah, that's kind of where we are and what we've been up to. Not a whole heck of a lot to report when you live in a global pandemic and your country is in lockdown. Like I look at New Zealand and I'm like, oh, that's what we could have. But yeah, so lockdown, vaccination, we're doing as best we can. Kids are home for a few weeks, which is, I don't know. That phase has nothing to do with my children being home. It's just like, I was thinking, I don't know how it's affecting my internet time. Not my internet time, my knitting time. It's definitely affecting my internet time. I can't listen to like my podcasts and stuff when they're around because they're always trying to get my attention. But I feel like I'm still getting plenty of knitting done. I had been going for walks and I can't really do that now. Like I drop the youngest off at nursery and then I'd go for a hour walk up and down the hills, and that was feeling really, really good. And now they're done and it's snowing. Going for walks when it's snowing is a lot less fun, but mostly I'm home with the kids, so I can't go for walks anyway. Yeah, I hope you are well. I hope if you are eligible for vaccination, that you get it easily and don't have any side effects, and we can all meet up sometime soon. Oh, that's an exciting thing. I have reached 20 subscribers. Yay! This is episode 62 and I've been at 20 subscribers for like 2 episodes now. So episode 60 got me to 20 subscribers. This is amazing. For me, this is just like, yay! A nice round number. I've been hovering at 19 subscribers for ages. But I think now that I've hit 20 subscribers, my podcast is starting to occasionally show up in the recommendations on the sidebar, which means someone might actually find me ever. If you have enjoyed this, if you're still here, you probably enjoyed it at least a little. Go ahead, subscribe. Subscribe if you want. Liking will help tell YouTube that it should tell other people about my podcast, and then I can be very excited when I get 21 subscribers. I know. I do this because, as I said, talking to myself feels like talking to other people. And right now that's the socializing I get, which I bet a lot of you are feeling. I think most people kind of feel that way right now, that you take whatever feels like socializing. I hope you are well. I hope you have lots of crafty stuff to keep you going, and that I will get to talk to you again in 2 weeks. I've got 1 more week of Easter holidays, so the following week I should be able to do a podcast again. Yeah, thank you very much. And I will see you soon. Bye. Yeah.